A successful official visit to Equatorial Guinea. 16 drug offenders, including 3 kingpins, convicted and sentenced.
I really want to thank the court for the initiatives that it has taken to ensure that the rights of refugees, internally displaced persons and stateless persons within the ECOWAS community, that their rights are respected.
Protects the fundamental rights of refugees, ECOWAS court urges state and non-state actors. This is the news at 9 on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I'm Lami Ali. Adiola Komeakere is in Lagos for trending stories in that axis. And Charles Alpha will be joining us later in the studio with information on flood mitigation, prediction, and impact. And for the latest from the world of business, we have Benny Adams on that bit, plus Badi Adeleye will bring us sports updates. This broadcast is live streamed on nta.ng/live and on other social media handles displayed on your screen. President Bola Tinubu has returned to Abuja after a 3-day official visit to Malabo, Equatorial Guinea. President Tinubu, who visited the Central African country on the invitation of his counterpart, President Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo, returned this Friday evening. On arrival in Malabo on Wednesday, the president embarked on a number of diplomatic and economic activities between Nigeria and Equatorial Guinea, including the signing of the Gulf of Guinea pipeline agreements. President Tinubu also sealed agreements the resuscitation of the Nigeria-Equatorial Guinea Joint National Commission, followed by many other bilateral activities. Nigeria and the Republic of Equatorial Guinea have pledged to work closely at both bilateral and multilateral levels to explore areas of mutual relationship that will spur economic growth, enhance security and stability in Africa. This was when President Bola Tinubu led a delegation on a state visit to President of the Republic of Equatorial Guinea, Obiang Mbasogo, on his invitation. A joint statement by Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, and his Equatorial Guinean counterpart, Simeon Oyono Esono Angwe, says the state visit availed the two heads of state the opportunity to sign the bilateral agreements on the construction and operation of the Gulf of Guinea pipeline that will facilitate trade in natural gas between the two countries and global markets. In addition, the agreements will facilitate the development of gas resources, accelerate industrialization, and enhance energy security. The joint statement also highlights that both delegations committed to holding the 6th Joint Cooperation Commission to facilitate the signing of additional bilateral agreements while monitoring the implementation of agreements that have already been signed. Similarly, Equatorial Guinea promised to support ECOWAS and AU in addressing security concerns, especially piracy in the maritime domain and other threats, as well as foreign interference in Africa. The heads of state also agreed to explore various initiatives tabled by Gulf of Guinea Commission member states aimed at improving coordination, and they reiterated calls for an African permanent state on the UN Security Council at international level. Nigeria and Equatorial Guinea pledged their commitments to further support the United Nations 2030 Agenda and the African Union's Agenda 2063. For Africa to optimize her advantage in abundant natural resources and take the quantum leap for human development, the continent must look inwards for solutions, starting with right education for her youth. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu gave this submission during an audience with Burundian Ambassador to Nigeria, Edward Nduwimana. State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo reports.
Africa is a continent that is good.
The solution to Africa's problems lie with Africans, the First Lady was quick to say, noting that it is time for African countries strengthen the bond of brotherhood for development on the continent. She says the days of taking the natural resources that the continent is endowed with for granted are over.
And I thank God that Africa has known that the way out for us is to make sure that our youth are educated so that they can really have the right of place in the marketplace. So, and I believe that the youth should realize that they need to really brace themselves up. When we continue to do what is right for them and also lead by example, we'll be able to win our youth over so that they can join in how we build the next century.
The ambassador of the East African country, Edward Nduwimana, is at the office of Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, on a mission to strengthen the ties. While Burundi's desire and request for investment from Nigeria has already been laid before the president, the ambassador says the visit is to register his country's appreciation for the First Lady's interest and support for education. The ambassador, who spoke in French, acknowledged that Burundi has had its fair share of challenges, but notes that the country is now back on the path of peace and progress.
We have also established a commission for peace and reconciliation, and we are on our way to development.
He equally presented an invitation from the First Lady of Burundi, Angeline Ndayubaha, to her Nigerian counterpart, seeking a visit to Burundi. In the State House, Adeni Itaiwo, NTA News.
The Rural Electrification Agency must redouble efforts to ensure Nigerians have more access to electricity. Vice President Kashim Shettima gave the charge as the agency secures a grant of $750 million from the World Bank and African Development Bank, AFDB, for rural electrification projects across Nigeria. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila brings us the details.
Where REA is working in deploying 7 hybrid mini-grid in 7 universities and 2 teaching hospitals, most of which are almost completed, one of which in Maiduguri, a 12 megawatt that is providing electricity to the university, the teaching hospital, and the water treatment plant within the Maiduguri Metropolitan. The Electricity Act that has been signed has mandated the REA to develop an electrification plan, which will help in creating coordination and integrating both the subnational towards a common pathway of developing electricity and addressing the electricity challenge in the country.
The new management of the agency is focusing on 6 key strategic areas. The National Electrification and Strategic Implementation Plan, which outlines the framework that aligns with the federal government's vision of a sustainable and inclusive energy, as well as streamlining the coordination between the subnationals towards the implementation of electrification across the country. From the State House, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Gombe State Governor Muhammad Inuwa Yahaya says northern governors are working to complement a federal government's food security efforts. He gave the assurance while briefing State House correspondents after a meeting with Vice President Kashim Shettima at the presidential villa.
I would like to believe that all the states, and in conjunction with the federal government, especially with the support given by the federal government, are trying to address those issues. And I believe recently the prices of food commodities have started to drop. So the drop in price, coupled with the palliative that the states and the federal government have extended, will help to stabilize the situation, and the situation will improve by the grace of God.
The governor also spoke on the implementation of the new minimum wage recently approved by the state government.
Most states have set up committees. In Gombe, we have a standing committee, which we had since 2020, and is headed by the deputy governor. They are working with the labor unions and all other members to try to see that we get to, but it's a law. According to the Senate President, every state, it has to. You see, implementation normally has to go with consequential adjustment, and each state has to go with the process properly so that we kick it and get it right.
Protection of fundamental rights of people is an obligation on both state and non-state actors by virtue of several proclamations. These are universal rights which remain constant and must be respected. Dele Atumbi of our Judiciary Desk takes a look at how the collaboration between ECOWAS Community Court and the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees will protect the rights of the people.
That they are refugees, asylum seekers, or stateless persons does not take away from them their fundamental rights. The rights of these set of people, including those of internally displaced persons, are protected by several United Nations treaties affirmed by some states all over the world. International, national and subnational tiers of government are under obligation to protect this category of people. The protection of their rights brought about the establishment of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. It is a known fact that everyone has the right to life, liberty, and the right to freedom from fear. These are the rights which the collaboration between the ECOWAS Community Court and the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees seek to protect.
Now, regarding the practical implementation of the amicus curiae or expert opinions, I'd like to reassure you that the president of the court, though absent, has given instructions to the chief registrar.
I really want to thank the court for its incredible collaboration with UNHCR and really the initiatives that it has taken to ensure that the rights of refugees, internally displaced persons and stateless persons within the ECOWAS community, that their rights are respected through the decisions of the court.
This resolution of the court tallies with the mandate of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. Available record has shown that over 170 million people worldwide are forcibly displaced. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
Minister of Works, Senator David Umahi, has provided a quick action of redesigning the entire flood-damaged portions along Kano-Maiduguri Expressway, with assurance to Nigerians of the federal government's commitment to their socio-economic well-being. The minister stated this at the end of his two-day assessment tour of the flood-affected areas in Bauchi. Muazu Hassan has the report.
Maluri and Guskuri villages in Katagum local government area of Bauchi State are the major damaged portions by the flood along Kano-Maiduguri Road, which is the major link between the northeastern states and other parts of the country. This assessment visit by the Minister of Works, Senator David Umahi, is aimed at providing a tangible solution on the situation.
I've designed the project here, and the work is to start immediately. Yes, I want to thank the governor very highly for the palliative work. We reported it in the Council of State that this road was cut, and the governor has provided palliative work.
And sent a clarion call to the presidency, and he sent not only a director or the controller of works, he sent the minister himself. Myself and the emirate of this area and our government will come to Abuja and say thank you to you and Mr. President for this quick intervention.
The minister has questioned the use of stone base at the wash-away portion of the road and questioned contractors in the country against being involved in substandard work, even if it is on temporary basis. In Bauchi, Muaz Hassan, NTA News.
So we have here in the studio our correspondent, Charles Alpha, who is going to give us the bigger picture on flood mitigation measures, impact and prediction from 5 states in 2024. It's over to you, Charles.
Thank you, Lami Ali, for the opportunity in the studio. First of all, this ranking report does not in any way undermine the efforts all that states are making to meet the impact of climate change, and for the purpose of this presentation, flooding will be our focus. Now, what this report is simply saying is that some states are doing more than others. And so 5 states have been ranked high in their efforts to tackle flooding across the 36 states of the Federation. And this is according to a climate governance performance rating and rankings of Nigerian states by the Department of Climate Change, the Federal Ministry of Environment and Society for Planet and Prosperity. And so they were ranked based on climate change, institutional arrangements and administrative structure, climate policy and action plan, climate budget implementation, and monitoring and online visibility with reference to flood-related awareness. And for the rating, we saw that Lagos was scored 182 points, and they rank first. Gombe is ranking second with 128 points. Bonyi third with 125. Borno and Ekiti share the same point, and they sit fourth position with 115 points each. Now, Lagos is among the 35 states in the region of high flood risk areas, according to the prediction NIMET's in 2024 outlook. And what have these states done differently to rate them this way? Apart from other states across the Federation. Now, apart from the poor communities that are the most impacted by heavy flooding in Lagos, the state is doing so much to mitigate the impacts of climate change and flooding in this regard. Now, Lagos is doing all the right things about the environment, especially with the Cleaner Lagos initiative, from plastic waste to flood control, pollution, and coastal erosion. It is ranked number one. That is why it is ranked number one. And so in 2022, they launched the 5-year climate action plan, which is being pursued vigorously by all working with Sanwo-Olu's government. They ranked number one, like we say there, by the society. And now the next is Gombe State. Now, Gombe State is coming second with 128 points, because some of the mitigating measures it has also taken since the 2024 NIMET prediction. Now, it is planting about 10 million trees and desilting drainages to address the problem this year's flooding is posing on communities so around the state. So we now saw that in terms of desilting of drainages, in terms of planting trees, it is also, working in that direction. And so we go to Borno State. Borno, as at 22 July 2024, heavy rainfall has caused damages to several camps and infrastructure in 17 local government areas of Borno State. Now, these reports have it that, or some reports have it that about 40,000 persons have been displaced in the last 3 to 4 years, and about 265 shelters have been damaged, and 1,444 individuals across 906 households affected. This includes 600 women, 491 men, and 1,460 children. Now, steps taken by Governor Zulum has been that it has initiated also planting of more trees across the state to mitigate the impact of climate change. And from there we go to Kogi State. Kogi State is also doing very well, and Kogi was hit by the 2012 flood with devastation with enormous magnitude. And residents had been going through. They have also had their own fair share. Embankments have been built along the rivers Niger, Benue, to prevent water from coming up. And so that's so much we have for you, the much we can take right now because of our time. And this is not to say that other states' efforts in mitigating the impacts of climate change have been mitigated. And over to you now, Lami Ali.
Thank you, Charles, for that information. You're watching News at 9 on NTA. Time now to go for some messages. Do stay tuned. You're welcome back. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, says the country is strengthening national coordination response on managing several endemic diseases, including monkeypox, recently declared a public health emergency of international concern by the World Health Organization. At a media briefing in Abuja, Director General of the NCDC, Dr. Jude Idris, says Nigeria is also closely monitoring developments of the disease outside the country and putting mechanisms in place to prevent its importation. Olushia Diabo has details.
In the Mpox epidemiological summary of the NCDC, Nigeria has no record of deaths, but a total of 39 cases have been confirmed out of 788 suspected ones in 33 states, including the FCT between 1st January and 5th August 2024. To counter the spread of Mpox, a highly contagious disease, formerly known as monkeypox, Nigeria CDC Director General spoke on the workings of the National Mpox Technical Working Group, coordinating a multi-sectoral response activities.
We are intensifying surveillance activities that's
Many
tracking
countries
cases across Nigeria to swiftly detect and respond to any new cases. We are working with the Port Health Services. Along this line, 5 designated international airports and some key seaports, including land and foot crossing borders, have been placed on high alert. Declaration forms have been distributed to airlines, especially those coming in from countries where there is an ongoing outbreak of Mpox in the last 90 days.
The center draws on control measures.
It is making efforts to make vaccines available to the public, especially for the hotspot areas. These vaccines have been shown to have a favorable safety profile. We are looking for support funding internationally, and that's why, again, we are talking to a lot of our partners.
The NCDC board sensitizes citizens on adherence to proven infectious prevention measures to limit Mpox virus transmission. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
Civil society groups advocating attainment of universal health coverage targets are discussing means of supporting government health sector reforms with focus on strengthening primary healthcare services. Again, Olushia Diabo brings us the details.
Many countries are in pursuit of achieving universal health coverage UHC 2030 targets, which will allow individuals to have access to a comprehensive range of quality health services without experiencing financial hardship. Nigeria is making its own progress, but existing efforts need to be accelerated, and this engagement is what key players from various sectors wants to use to discuss on harnessing diverse approach to strengthening service delivery at the primary healthcare level.
We already have increases in the number of Nigerians accessing basic services from our health facilities, whether it is immunization, it's about a 15% increase from last year, whether it is antenatal care. We're not where we need to be in many of the areas, but we are building transparency into what we're doing.
I believe that everyone within the health ecosystem or within our polity can contribute to our objective to achieving universal health coverage.
Especially now that we have new reforms around local government, we need to understand that primary health care is important. It is the pivotal sector that will make health change.
Strategic stakeholders engagement, which is themed harnessing multi-stakeholder approaches to strengthening PHC delivery and accountability, is initiated by Nigeria UHC Reform, a coalition of civil societies. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
3 drug trafficking kingpins and 16 other offenders have been convicted and sentenced to a total of 302 years in prison for trafficking and dealing in illicit drugs such as cocaine, heroin, cannabis and opioids, following their arrest and prosecution by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA. These 19 persons top the list of 414 drug traffickers and dealers convicted by the Federal High Court in Benue, Bauchi, Edo, Lagos, Ogun, Gombe, and the Federal Capital Territory, FCT Abuja, between July 1st to 31st, 2024, based on charges filed against them by the Anti-Narcotics Agency. Chief Executive Officer of NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, commends the judiciary and says imprisonment will strengthen deterrent effect of NDLEA's drug supply reduction efforts. The present administration will continue to evolve programs and policies aimed at improving the lives of the citizenry. Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, says this while presenting assorted food items to internally displaced persons, IDPs, people living with disabilities, and vulnerable persons in Benue State. Wife of the Vice President, Hajiya Nana Shettima, represented the First Lady at the event. Simbiat Agbaji reports.
This platform, we are very excited amidst of the hardship that people are going through in the state. This will go a long way.
Nigeria's First Lady, represented by the wife of the Vice President, Hajiya Nana Shettima, disclosed that in addition to the food items, 37,000 women in the country will soon benefit from the Renewed Hope Initiative Recapitalization Grant.
I want to assure you that we will continue to do all we can to support and encourage you, especially families in vulnerable communities.
The Deputy Governor Sam Ode assured the benefactor that the food items will be given to the target beneficiaries in the 23 local government areas.
This partnership between the federal government of Nigeria and Benue state governments holds a lot of promise for our people.
142,000 vulnerable persons have benefited from food palliative made available by the federal government in collaboration with the Jigawa state government. Governor Umar Namadi personally flagged off the distribution of the food commodities in Dutse to beneficiaries drawn from across the 11 political wards of Dutse, the state capital. Mohammed Musa Askira has the report.
10,000 naira cash was presented to each of the beneficiaries by the governor himself to help the beneficiaries transport their food packages home. In Dutse alone, 1,100 vulnerable persons have benefited from this palliative, and across the state, 142,000 persons are to benefit from it.
In the last 1 year, we undertook several interventions. Largely, this came in several forms, including food and cash transfers to thousands of well-deserving vulnerable segments of the population, free or subsidized distribution of agricultural input to boost food production, and provision of employment opportunities to thousands of our teeming youth to provide them with a sustainable means of livelihood.
Governor Umar Namadi, while expressing his gratitude to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the support, assures the people in the state of continuous support until the present hardship is ameliorated.
Government remains committed in its pursuit for very comprehensive and well-targeted interventions in form of policies, programs and projects that will provide long-term sustainable solutions to the socio-economic challenges being faced by our people. We will continue to provide relief for people, create jobs, generate employment opportunities, and provide sustainable means of livelihood for our citizens.
The food palliative is part of the 42,000 metric tons of assorted food items distributed to the state from the National Strategic Reserve by the Nigerian president. From Dutse, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
The Rural Electrification Agency must redouble efforts to ensure Nigerians have more access to electricity. Vice President Kashim Shettima gave the charge as the agency secures a grant of $750 million from the World Bank and African Development Bank, AFDB, for rural electrification projects across Nigeria. State House correspondent Abdulrahman Jibrila reports.
Vice President Kashim Shettima at the meeting granted the Rural Electrification Agency's request to enter into partnership with the National Economic Council in order to have access to state governors and engage them in the drive to light up rural and urban settlements. He commended the agency for doing an outstanding job, taking into cognizance its effort in several other sectors. The Vice President advised the agency to keep Nigerians abreast with ongoing efforts to address electricity deficit in the country. Managing Director of the agency, Abba Aliyu, listed 4 main sources of funding for the agency, including the World Bank, the Africa Development Bank, and electricity market, which is the excess revenue of the liquidator and grants, which comes from partnership with international development partners, where funds are normally provided to develop different models and concepts in the country.
Where REA is working in deploying 7 hybrid mini-grid in 7 universities and 2 teaching hospitals, most of which are almost completed, one of which in Maiduguri, a 12 megawatt that is providing electricity to the university, the teaching hospital, and the water treatment plant within the Maiduguri metropolitan. The Electricity Act that has been signed has mandated the REA to develop an electrification plan, which will help in creating coordination and integrating both the subnational towards a common pathway of developing electricity and addressing the electricity challenge in the country.
The new management of the agency is focusing on 6 key strategic areas. The National Electrification and Strategic Implementation Plan, which outlines the framework that aligns with the federal government's vision of a sustainable and inclusive energy, as well as streamlining the coordination between the subnationals towards the implementation of electrification across the country. From the State House, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Keying into federal government's drive to supporting the use of indigenous resources to improve and enhance more opportunities for local contractors, Osun State government says local contractors are handling 95% of all ongoing construction works in the state. Femi Afariogun reports.
For 2 days, the combined team from Nigerian Society of Engineers and Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, KUREN, led by the president of Nigeria Society of Engineers, Margaret Oguntala, visited various ongoing road projects in Osun State. The governor led them to the site of an ongoing construction of a major flyover at Okefia in Osogbo, where they carried out integrity tests on the project.
The job is being done to very high standards and the quality is very good. It's fantastic. We commend him for using Nigerian engineers, for believing in the Nigerian engineer, and we assure him again publicly that the Nigerian engineers will not disappoint him.
Governor Adeleke says the use of local contractors is to build the economy of the state and ensure fast infrastructural development of Osun.
The policy that I have, that I will use local content, we are just using this place, as a point of contact.
Of the road visited by the team of engineers include the 5.5 kilometers Akoda Baptist High School Ede in Osogbo. Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
Now, Benny Adams will take us through the latest happenings in the business world. It's over to you, Benny.
Thank you, Lami. Welcome to business. As the federal government sustains efforts in providing flexible and cost-effective mobility solutions to millions of Nigerians, the results are beginning to show. Following conversion from fossil fuel-powered automobiles to compressed natural gas, Minister of Transportation Saidu Ahmed Al-Khali and former Special Advisor to the President on National Assembly Matters, Senator Itai Enang, commends the initiative as they say it is cheaper, cleaner, and would effectively bring down cost of goods and services.
Going to change the entire economy. Transportation is the gateway of the nation's economy. By the time this CNG is put in place all over the country, we are going to have a drastic reduction in the cost of transportation in the entire country.
A vehicle that is filled with about 60,000-70,000 naira petrol will run with 5,000 naira gas, covering 300 kilometers. So it's a massive effort.
Still on energy, oil prices fell by more than $1 on Friday, with Brent slipping below $80 a barrel after a string of dismal indicators for July from China overshadowing geopolitical risks. Brent crude futures were down $1.07 to $79.97 per barrel, while the West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell $1 to 27 cents to $76.89. Analysts say oil market is struggling to retain its recently recaptured $80 a barrel floor as the recent string of weak macroeconomic indicators reassert their downward pressure, while geopolitical concerns appear to fade into the background. And a look at the markets in Nigeria. At the end of the last weekday of trading on the Nigerian exchange, the market closed flat, with the all-share index recording 97,100.31 basis points. A total of 348.9 million shares in 7,677 deals, corresponding to a market value of 7.464 billion naira, were traded. Today's data shows 29% improvement in volume, 112% improvement in turnover, and 6% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization is 55.1 trillion naira. On the aggregate, 118 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 23 gainers and 21 losers. Guarantee Trust Holding recorded the highest volume of 90.9 million traded shares, followed by Owando 30.4 million, Jopol Gold Ventures 22.4 million, and Veritas Capital Assurance 21.7 million. That is it on business, but more news on the hour as Adiola is standing by in our Lagos studio. Adiola, it's over to you.
Benny. 200 females have been selected across the 5 divisions of Lagos State to participate in the nationwide farming competition for female first-time farmers. This initiative of the First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, is tagged "Every Home a Garden." Wife of Lagos State Governor Dr. Abuja Sanwo-Olu made this known at a seminar organized for the selected participants at the Lagos House Ikeja. Esewa Maka reports.
The scheme, tagged Every Home a Garden competition under the Renewed Hope initiative of the First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, is aimed at encouraging Nigerians to complement government's efforts in tackling food insecurity by embracing home farming in all states of the Federation.
The onus lies on us to take responsibility to grow something that at the end of the day, you yourself, you can be proud of, that yes, through my sweat, labor and tears, I was able to bring up this crop.
This is a stepping stone for you to start your own farming. You never can tell. Before you know it, one of you can be a mechanized farmer.
Today is a day for women, and I'm very excited that in Lagos State, we can find this number of women coming out with all their chest to show that they are for agriculture.
This seminar, organized for the 200 females selected from the 5 divisions of the state for the national competition, according to Dr. Abuja Sanwo-Olu, will enlighten the participants on the guidelines and procedures in emerging as a winner of the competition.
Every Home a Garden competition aimed at promoting home farming comes at a critical time when food prices are soaring across our country and beyond. Her Excellency, Distinguished Senator Oluremi Tinubu, CON, rightly believes that embracing home farming will bring much needed relief to many Nigerians this time in our nation.
The Every Home a Garden competition will culminate in December this year with a grand prize of 20 million naira given to the winner of the national competition. In Lagos, Ese Owamaka, NTA News.
Nigeria has 9 compulsory insurance covers, which include third-party motor, employer's liability, workmen's compensation, group life and health insurance, among others. Despite the essential contribution of the insurance industry in mitigating unforeseeable and disastrous events, some, especially those in rural areas, remain ignorant. Hengino John Adams spoke with some experts on awareness creation.
Insurance provides protection against financial losses that occur from tragic incidents like accidents, injuries, property damage, among others. Despite serving as a shield against unforeseen circumstances by protecting people from unplanned expenses and offering financial cushion, some people do not subscribe to it, but those who do enjoy the benefits.
What insurance simply means is that appreciating that we are all exposed to risk and then coming together to put funds together so that in case somebody becomes unfortunate amongst those of us that are putting money together, we compensate that.
Before now, awareness on insurance among Nigerians was low, but the story is gradually changing as experts say many are now buying into the idea.
Those awareness are coming up because people are suffering losses and they are getting a compensation.
The insurance product is a product that takes care of you when there is plenty and when there is few. Instead of bringing money to replace your asset, if the asset is insured, the insurance company will come in and pay for you to restore that asset whenever there is a loss. And what you pay in return is just a token of the amount of the value that is at risk.
Experts say with the right sensitization strategy, many people will be brought on board, thereby making the subsector more vibrant. In Lagos, Hingino, John Adams, NTA News.
And those are reports from Lagos. The news will continue after this break. Please stay with us.
Thank you for saying. A committee to see to the successful conduct of the 2024 Service of 9 Lessons and Carols has been inaugurated. Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, Abdulhamid Dembo, is represented by the Executive Director, Engineering, E.J. Osage, assured the committee of support for the successful hosting of the annual events. The committee members are drawn from the NTA, FRCN, and VON.
VON too, but I know that may not be enough for us. So if you have to have a very good outing, a very rich outing, then money will be spent. Money has to be spent. So and that money has to be sourced for.
The organizations to look far more into the budgeting and the sponsorship of the program.
We are not going to fall short of the expectations. So at the end of the day, the name of the Lord will be glorified.
The 2024 Service of 9 Lessons and Carols is expected to hold first Sunday of December. NTA is to host this year's edition. The Minister of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy, Hannatu Musa Musawa, has pledged to promote the Iri-Jindigbo National New Yam Festival globally. She made these commitments while hosting traditional rulers and people from the southeast states who sought support for the festival. Musa emphasized the importance of the festival, likening it to other internationally renowned festivals. She promised to support it to attract global attention, especially from Nigerians of Igbo descent in the diaspora, and to involve UNESCO experts in the festival. The minister's support is expected to help amplify the festival's cultural significance and promote Nigerian culture and tourism. The delegation thanks the ministry for its past support and expressed confidence in making this year's festival a success with continued support. Time to go for another set of messages. Do stay tuned. Sports news is next with Bade Adeleye. Bade, it's over to you.
Many thanks, Lami. Let's begin with athletics, as Nigerian sprinters favor Philian Samuel Ogaze, as well as shot putter Chukwuebuka Ekechwe, are among the highest gainers in the latest World Athletics rankings released by the body after the Paris 2024 Olympics. Ophelia, who finished 6th in the women's 200 meters, which was won by US's Gabby Thomas, moved up from the 31st to 8th place in the 200 meters rankings.
Small feet. This shows the potential she has and how far she has come in her career. Now, we may ask, what does it mean for Nigerian athletics? This isn't just a win for favor, a win for Nigeria. It's actually a win for Africa because it's putting Nigeria on the map, and she should just keep her head down, ignore whatever happened at the Olympics, and she should always take the positives and leave negatives. So we wish her all the best as she moves in her career.
Away from athletics, the participating teams in the 2024-2025 CAF Inter-Club competitions will get a huge financial assistance from the African Football Governing Body. CAF is set to give all the participating clubs in the preliminary round $50,000 as financial support. Rangers International Remo Stars will represent Nigeria in the Champions League, while El Kanemi Warriors and Enyimba International will play in the Confederation Cup. The money is to enable them prepare adequately for the preliminary round of the competition. The preliminary round kicked off today across the continent, but El Kanemi Warriors will be the first Nigerian club to play, and it will be on Saturday. Now, the Premier League made its return this evening with a clash between Manchester United and Fulham at Old Trafford being the curtain raiser. Despite being a neck-to-neck battle in the early stages, Manchester United soon dominated possession, and they were rewarded for that late in the game when new signing Joshua Zirkzee shot them ahead in the 87th minute. That was how it ended, and they got all 3 points available. Let's remind you that the Premier League continues on Saturday, and the match between Arsenal and Wolverhampton Wanderers will be live on the Nigerian Television Authority. That's Sports Update. It's back to Lami.
Now, thank you so much, Buddy, for the updates from the world of sports. And that brings us to the end of Network News for today. We thank you for watching. Do have a beautiful weekend.